Hey guys, we're on to a different. I don't know. I should have probably just videoed the whole process, but this has been another. You know, these guys know that I'm not afraid of a challenge, so they throw me these projects. This is one of my farming customers, and the story on this thing is. Okay, let's start out from the beginning. From what I understand, I don't know how many. It must have been a couple years ago, I'm guessing, because. This thing, I guess, I don't know what happened to the original engine that was in this, but anyways, this is a late 04. This was a 04 was a split year. They did a LB7 in the early ones, and the later ones had the LLY. This is an LLY Duramax 6.6 liter. But anyway, quite a story here. So, this guy here, the engine, I guess, the first one, I don't know, like I said, I don't know what happened. It blew up or something. And they took it in, and this outfit in town, in Klamath here, they put a reman engine, which they're kind of notorious for doing that. That's all I ever hear about, is they're always reman engine and everything. Anyway, so I guess the guy didn't even make it home with it. He lives about 15 miles out of town, and it blew a radiator hose off. But long story short, it kept doing it because the head gaskets or something were bad on the reman engine, or the head was bad, and it was pressurizing the cooling system with compression gas. So he took it back, and they put another reman engine in it, and this one here lasted like 60 or 70,000 miles. So I'm guessing this one was put in a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I don't know. But he had a ticking noise on hard acceleration and stuff there. So anyway, I guess he took it over there, and it's been sitting over there for 4 or 5 months. And they had the cab off and had everything disassembled. The engine, they took the engine out of it. So they called me and wanted to know, I guess he was kind of fed up with them because nothing was getting resolved with it. And he's like, no, I don't want another reman engine. Find out what the ticking noise is and fix it. So anyways, they said that it was something internal in the engine. So they tore it all apart. They had the engine out of it, and I didn't really even get the full scope of the story of how much it was disassembled, you know. All I was told that, hey, you want to do this? And I was like, well, not really, but I'll do it. You know, I see the hard times that are coming, so I'm kind of just taking everything I can get here locally, you know. And anyway, so when I got it, the engine was in the back of the pickup, and they drug it over here, and it's been a disaster. It really has. I mean, I've come a long way, so let's put it that way. So when I got it, there was boxes of parts. Here's one of the boxes on the fender of my four-wheeler back there. And here's what's funny. This is an LLY, and if you look at this magnetic parts tray was in the back of the pickup, okay? If you know anything about Duramaxes, you know that doesn't go to an LLY. That's an LB7 injector. All that holds where the lines are, it goes on the lines, and there's little keepers that, you know, so the lines don't back off. Anyway, yeah, if you work on Duramaxes, you know that that's not an LLY component. None of this shit is. That's all the banjo return line stuff that goes underneath the valve covers. All that stuff's internal. The LLYs, the injectors are external like this. I don't know, you probably can't even see them. There's so much shit on the outside of these, but they stick outside the valve covers. So anyway, there was boxes that they had all the injectors, they had all the valve train, all the rockers, everything out of it laying in a box. Well, I've been incrementally piecing this thing together. So anyway, let's see here. Let's start out with 8 push rods were missing, 8 valve bridges were missing. Got an idler pulley missing here still, and my wife's actually going down there to get one. That's got a dual thermostat system. The front thermostat was missing. All the flex plate to torque converter bolts were missing. All the bell housing bolts were missing. They broke one of the bolts off in the valve cover. I had to dig it out of the cylinder head. I went to put the rockers back together, and they had the pedestals on backwards on the rocker shafts, and I mean, it's just, to me, it's just completely obvious why they put reman engines in, because they can't fucking put one together, you know. Anyway, I'm pretty certain that we're gonna see that the problem. I told the owner before I even started really, you know, I just started looking things over, and I could see this exhaust manifold gasket. Look, see here, it's blown completely out. This one was leaking. Look at all the black carbon all the way around here. That manifold gasket, look at how this manifold gasket here is, the whole corner of it's blown out. Look how it was leaking around here. I mean, you got like half of your cylinders leaking exhaust around the manifold. I mean, that's like one of those rookie type things that when you got a ticking noise, that's like one of the first things you look at. You start looking at exhaust manifolds. I told him, I said, man, I'll drop the pan and I'll pull a rod and a main cap and we'll look at them. Well, excuse me, they already had the pan off and said they didn't see anything in it. No metal in the oil, none of that, you know. And and the guy that drives it, he said, yeah, it had good oil pressure, it ran good, no problems. It just had a ticking on hard acceleration. And so I hope I'm right. Oh, the other thing was motor mount. I don't know how they did that, but that motor mount, the whole other half of that was missing. They broke that. I think they started lifting the engine out with it still attached because they didn't unbolt it, and it snapped that thing right in two. So I put a new torque converter. The owner wanted a new torque converter in it, so I got a new converter in it. I've got all the valve train, everything back together. I got all the valves adjusted. Could not find. I finally found an upper valve cover gasket kit. Nobody in Klamath had one. I had to order one, and I got that. So the wife's on her way down there. Napa had one torque converter to flex plate bolt, so she's gonna grab that one, and then I'm gonna start driving around town here in a little bit and see if I can find one. On these Duramaxes, I don't pull the cab. It's way easier to pull this front clip off and just grab a hold of it and pull it right out of there. Way easier than it is to pull. Oh, here's another thing. So we got a bolt missing out of the AC compressor. Got a hinge bolt missing out of the alternator. 9 of the flywheel housing, they'd taken the flywheel housing bolts out for some reason. They didn't take them all out, but they took 9 of them were gone. And then I had to send his wife over there to get the flex plate and the bolts that mount the flex plate to the flywheel. Those were missing, you know. So you tear the guy's shit all apart. You have it for 4 or 6 months, and then you don't even give him all his shit back. It's pretty wild, man. Pretty wild. So I'm in the process still of, since they had the cab off, they had all this unplugged. I'm still figuring all this out. Yeah, but we're getting there one piece at a time. And then there's some grounds we're gonna have to contend with here. So there's gonna be another ground, I think, for the battery, and that's gonna go right there. Okay, there's a reason that I left that loose, because I thought, you know what, there's probably a fucking ground wire that goes right there. Not every one of these pickups is like that. They'll have a ground on each side of the block because the batteries are running parallel. But this is the actual, so we could put this on. Okay, same thing over here. But I can't get that one loose. Well, I don't know for certain if this wire's a ground or not. I don't know. Maybe. I gotta figure out where all this shit went here. Like this bracket here. Gotta figure out where that goes on there somewhere. Oh, there's a stud right there. I can see it now. So I'm guessing that both of those go on that stud. But, oh, it's just like yesterday morning. I had a. It's just been busier than hell. I had one of my customers called me and said, "Hey, I got a buddy of mine that's got a belt trailer. He's broke down on Mount Hebron halfway up, blew a turbo, DD15 Detroit." So I got there at daybreak yesterday, and right on the shoulder of the highway, he at least got around the guardrail and got in a wide spot where we could get the service truck in there and not have dickheads trying to run us over on the highway because they won't ever slow down. But anyway, that was I was there for 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, I got there right at, I didn't get there at daybreak. I left my house at daybreak, and I got up to the hill about 8 o'clock that morning. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to get there at daybreak because it was colder than hell up there. And anyways, we got out of there about 1. I should have had it done sooner than that, but I broke a damn bolt off where the turbo mounts to the manifold, and of course it was the back one, and I dicked around with that thing trying to get it out for a long time. And finally he said, "Put 3 of them on there and tighten this shit out of them. Let's see if we can make it home." He says, "I come through here all the time." He says, "I'll just come through here and I'll just drop it off for he lives in Oregon here somewhere. He says, "I'll just drop it off for a weekend and have my brother give me a ride home, and you can pull that thing back off there and get that bolt out of there." So anyways, we got him going. It threw aluminum all in the charger cooler, and we had that thing all, I had a bunch of them big plugs, you know, that you put over intakes and stuff, and I cut a hole in the middle of it, and I put it over the charger cooler nipple, and I put my blower nozzle in there, and I kept blowing through it, and I blew a bunch of shit out of there. I mean, a bunch. And finally what we did is I told him, I said, "Get in that truck there." And on them DD15 Detroits, they got the big air intake right here, and there's that big rubber hose that goes from the charger cooler to the intake throttle, that throttling valve deal there. And I just put a 5-gallon bucket so it'd still suck air, and we left the hose off the charger cooler side, and I said, "Get in there and fire that bastard up and put her on the floor." And it blew a bunch more shit out of it. And we just kept doing that until we didn't get any more material out of it. And I said, "Well, I guess, you know, run it and see what happens." I didn't hear anything from him when he left, so hopefully he's okay. And it didn't, I get worried about all that shit in them charger coolers, something getting back into the intake and going through the engine. That just worries the hell out of me. So, all right, well, we'll keep going on this. I guess I can at least show you me putting the rest of this back together and figuring this puzzle out. I know that's going to be like the mass airflow sensor. See, I got a whole, this is not even, I've come a long ways on this thing. This is just a small portion of what I've been dealing with on this thing. Just a small portion. I mean, this stuff here actually is pretty easy to figure out. There's the bottom part of the air cleaner. I do not see the top part. There it is. I'm pretty certain that mass, those dirty bastards, they stole the sensor out of that. They've been robbing parts over there. They have been robbing. That's because it doesn't make any sense, guys. It does not make any sense what is going on here, because why would you take that and unscrew that? They needed that for another rig and they took it out of here. Why would you take the idler pulley off for this and not put it back on? Especially when you weren't doing anything here. Why would you take the flywheel housing bolts out when you weren't even going to disassemble the engine? They were robbing parts off this thing is what they were doing. It's exactly what they were doing. So I'm pretty certain that that's where that plug goes, although it's not there. Unbelievable, unreal. You just can't even make this stuff up. What a bunch of thieving bastards. Okay, the ECM for the engine's in here, so we know that'll go on to that bracket, and that bracket's to the front, to the, that'll actually sit down in here on the front of the shroud. And that's where they're color coded red and gray. So that'll be these two. Now what in the hell, what's that plugging into? There must be another module or something somewhere that I don't even see it. That's a problem. It's like we're missing an entire module. Now that's where things are gonna get probably nasty between them and the owner if we gotta end up buying a module for this thing because they put it in another customer's rig. And or is it? It's not in here somewhere, is it? Because I didn't unplug any of that. No, there it is right there. Okay, there's that. I think that's the ABS controller or something, or maybe it's the transmission controller. I don't know. I'm actually forgot a lot of the stuff that I used to do on these older Duramaxes that I used to work on these all the time. But anyway. Okay, so that's there. At least that's there, and I know it's there. I thought, oh shit, how am I going to tell him, hey, you've got a control module missing too. Okay, so what's next? We know that we've got a mass airflow sensor missing. That's gone. Those are not cheap either. Those are not cheap at all. Okay, so what's next? I need to tighten this one ground up over here, and then I had some lights over here somewhere. My little pocket light's almost dead though. Oh, there it is up there. I set my stupid head-mounted flashlight down somewhere and I can't find the damn thing. I'm terrible about that shit, man. I really am. So, thinking, I see that stud right there, but does this go on? This must go up against that. Thinking this goes over the top of that. Damn it. Can't get it around that son of a bitch. Then slide it down. Probably up around here. I don't think that's right either. Cannot ride on that. Can't ride on there like that. It's gotta go. You know, it's gotta go like this. And I'm thinking it's going to go around here like this. Does that make any sense? Still. And then it could go like this. Yep. Okay. Okay, got it figured out now. We find a 1/2-inch drive ratchet for the tensioner. I told the guy when he brought it to me, I says, I hope you're ready for the bill on this thing. He goes, yeah, I know it's going to be a nightmare piecing this thing back together when you didn't tear it apart. I said, yeah, it ain't going to be easy. I'm piecing it together though. Just like that, you know, you found the idler pulley missing and we got that done. I gotta get one of these. I gotta get a hinge bolt for the alternator. That's gone. And there's another bolt here missing for the AC compressor. Yeah, but when I got it, basically the upper and lower valve covers were off. All the injectors were out. All the valve train was out of it. Another thing that they did is which I can't 100%, because these things here, these return lines on these LLYs, what does piss me off is there's little spring retainers, little clip retainers that go in and hold them on. None of those are here, but they broke all the nipples. Well, they broke. You can see it's broke off here somewhere. It's broke right there. So I got to get new return lines and new retaining clips. That's something else I got to find. Yeah, it's just amazing to me. If I do some shit like this, I don't stay in business, you know. But these guys seem like, I mean, this is a big shop. They get all kinds of shit here in town. It's just, I guess when you're that big, I guess nothing really matters. But anyway, so what else, man? What else? We got the belt situation done. Oh, I was fighting this miserable bastard trying to get it in there. This bracket assembly here. Oh yeah, then all the motor mount bolts were gone, but I had some in my service truck that worked. Some metric bolts. They actually for ISX Cummins, but it worked. Worked out all right. Pry that out enough to get this down in there. This goes in first. Then go up. God dang, man, that's tight fit. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Right there. And then this will go right there. And then a nut goes on there. Okay. And then a 14 to tighten the ground down. 14 millimeter. Alright, that is back together. Oh, shoot. You know what? I see another ground, it looks like to me. That's another ground, ain't it? Let's take that back loose. That goes on there too. Pull that back off. And that's the truth. And these guys, I'm not going to name any names, but you know, that is the 100% truth. They're not concerned about actually fixing things. They're they're about the quick dollar, you know. Swap it out, put a reman engine, charge them, let's go. Mark the engine up. You know, that's free money. Mark the engine up. Now, we'll mark the engine up 50%, what we bought it for. Then when the engine blows up because we got it really cheap from a cheap reman facility, we'll just charge them to put another one in there. We're never losing any money. And that's their whole thing, you know. Okay, and that was another thing that they did. I must have a hole in my coveralls pocket or something because there's shit falling out of my pockets. There was a couple of small bolts that went in the front here and bolted this down. And what is this wire here supposed to be going to? The hell's that go to? I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder where the hell that goes to. Does anybody know? Actually, I think it's supposed to be over here. That must go, yeah, I don't know, I'll have to figure that out. Another thing to figure out. And I need to get back on my hay squeeze project. I need to get back on that deal and get going on that. I really wanted to get this done and out of the way and get it running at least, because the guy's been without a vehicle. Okay, there's that. And where in the hell would this go? You see anything up here that this might possibly go to? I mean, that don't go up here to the glow plugs or something, does it? I wouldn't think so. Because the glow plugs are coming in this main harness up here, so what the hell does that do? Where does it go? I don't know. It's going up in this little harness right here, which is going, I don't know if it's coming off this main harness or what. I don't know for certain what that's doing. I know this goes to the, it's like the high pressure cutout switch or something. It's part of that manifold right there. I guess I better call Napa or AutoZone or somebody and see if they got a mass airflow sensor for this thing. So I got a high pressure, or no, the cycling switch here, I think. There's that low cutout or whatever. I got another plug here, but both of these plugs are identical. I mean, the only difference is one's white, one's gray, but both of them will plug into that. So I'm not sure what goes where on that. I need to kind of, I guess, put the front clip back together before I get there. The wife came up with 3 converter bolts. If I had 3 more, we would be in good shape. I might call around, maybe somebody else, maybe one of these other outfits has got some converter bolts. I might call O'Reilly's right quick and see if they got anything. So I was able to round up the rest of the converter bolts through 3 different parts stores here in town. And I got all those in bolted in. Now the starter bolts are missing. So I got to figure out what length and what thread I need on that. I had some metric bolts. I think those are probably too small. I got to plug the block heater into, and I got to hook the down pipe up. Okay, so here's the, well, Here's a metric bolt here, but I think that is too small. They're bigger than that. Yep. So I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do there. Okay. Yeah. Gotta figure that out. Gotta hook the down pipe up and put the floor jack in there and jack that down pipe up, put the clamp on it. I'm gonna start this son of a bitch tonight. I wanted to get everything electrically hooked up and start charging the batteries, because you know it's been sitting for 4 or 5 months over there. You know the batteries are gonna be dead in it. Oh, block heater while I'm under there. Also, so I have a metric bolt that I saw laying right here, which I'm thinking is gonna be the size of that hole right there. And actually, I think if I go out into my service truck, I think I actually have some of these. I might, but I don't know if I got the right length. Let's just see if it's the right thread. Thread's in there. I think that actually this one might be too big. No, that's it. Yep, so that's the threads I need, the size of bolt. But we got to get the length figured out, and I need to plug the block heater in. This is right here. Stick the light up in here. Come on. What is the problem here? That should plug in. Got it in there. There we go. Come on. Yeah, that thing does not plug in so easily. Okay. Is there a bracket or anything? So these are the starter wires right here. Okay, so we got to figure out the starter. That's the next project. As I can't charge batteries very well with the starter wires sitting there dangling and grounding out. That ain't gonna work very well. Alright. Let me go look around, see if I can find some bolts. Let me see, where's the starters over here on the table? So I'm thinking about that long total length. We should be all right there, and they pretty much almost needs to be a shouldered bolt. A regular bolt, you're gonna have trouble getting a socket on it. And now I know what this wire does. That's the signal wire for the starter. That goes clear around back into the starter, but I don't like that. I don't like the split loom's all gone off of it, so I gotta find some split loom. I got the starter in it, and I found a couple bolts, shouldered bolts. One of them's got a 17mm head, and one's got a 15. I hate doing that kind of shit, but I can't find any shouldered bolts in Klamath Falls. And a regular bolt on that, especially on that bottom one. Yeah, it'd be such a pain in the ass trying to change that. Got it in there, and I got the top wires on the starter, but I dropped the nut. I gotta find it and put that on, then run that signal wire around there and hook it to the bottom stud, and then that'll be done. And I go get a floor jack. Let's go ahead and should be able to just take that and pop that loose like so. And then I'll get a floor jack underneath that down pipe and just shove it up. And I might have to get a bar or something to kind of pop it in and get it in place. And that'll be done. So we're almost done with everything on this side. Well, I still got a ways to go this afternoon to get stuff together, but oh man, a lot of work. Don't really need that on there anymore. We'll put that back in the toolbox. I went and spent quite a bit of money on tools to stock this shop up, and I had my red toolbox that I don't ever use anymore down there, and I started just digging through it and getting out stuff, and I had this whole John Deere SAE and Some of them are in my service truck too, but I had this John Deere end wrench set and had some SK wrenches in there, and then I bought all these Icon gear wrenches and standard wrenches, and some ratchets for the shop here, and bought a bunch of sockets here and a bunch of Allen heads. This was sent to me by one of my YouTube viewers. They're long Allens, really handy. And I bought a couple impact sets for the shop. So I'm slowly trying to build up everything to where I've got tools in both locations, so I can not have to be always having the service truck in every spot. So anyway, so I'll finish up the starter with the signal wire. I've got some split loom somewhere in the shop here. I want to put on that and run that wire around there, put it on. I'm pretty certain that's got to be it, because I don't see. Let's just make sure. I guess it reaches, huh? I told my wife, I said, yeah, the funeral home from Mount Shasta is gonna drop their excavator off here maybe Monday. And I said, I don't know, if I'm not here, just tell them to drop it off right here. And she goes, oh, you're gonna work on the funeral homes? She's grossed out by the. I said the excavator doesn't bury them. I said it just digs the dirt up. I said, ain't that big a deal. I said, don't get too worried about it. I said, we're all gonna get our turn. Yeah, that is it. So that's the signal wire for the starter right there. Okay. Alrighty, I just gotta find some split loom, put on that wire, protect it. You know, it's only momentarily engaged, but it would suck for the starter wire the signal wire to short to a positive, you know, on that battery hot wire, and then have the starter running all the time and burn the pickup down. So alright guys, so the starter's all done, starter's wired, got some split loom there on the signal wire. So now I'm gonna go over to the driver's side and start working on all these. So these go, this one goes to the ECU, and this goes to whatever that other controller is. I'm sure somebody on here will know, but I don't know if it's an ABS controller or a transmission controller or what it is, but regardless of the fact of what it is, it has to be plugged in. Okay, so what do we got going on here? We got, that one there must go to there, I'm guessing. White to white, okay. So what the fuck here, huh? What's all this shit here doing? What does that go? Where does that go? I believe that I saw another. That's gonna be that style of plug right there. Yeah, that's got way too. No, that's wrong. Where in the hell's that going? I don't see. Wait a second. That's it right there. Yeah, that's the one right there. So most of this stuff's all going to be on this side over here. I just got to get it routed to where it's not such a cluster, you know. This goes up to the ground stud on the hood, but they got the hood in the service position. I've seen guys pulling hoods on these a lot. It's like, you know, those hoods got a service position, don't you? And you take the spring, you know, right there, take it out, and you put the bolt right there, and it puts it straight up in the air, and you can do about whatever you want to it. You don't even got to pull the hood off. So this needs to be routed back up under. You can tell it probably needs to be underneath all this stuff. Or no, it goes over here, I see. Okay, don't know what the hell. I'm missing something here that plugs into this. A three pin there, gotta find that. Okay, and I think this will just come out like that. That should probably just get doubled up and thrown down in here inside this disaster. It probably looks like they had all those little slide deals on there where they will slide in here, but they broke all of them. I mean, the guys that worked on this thing, I mean, what a deal, man. You just can't make this shit up. How can you destroy that much stuff? I don't get it. I'm just gonna stick all this in here and it'll all get covered up with the but I just tell you that I will, you know, guys like this, it's obvious that, you know, I don't know if I showed you the mass airflow sensor that was missing. I mean, they took it out, they put it on somebody else's rig, is what they did. There's just no question about it. They were taking parts off this guy's vehicle and putting them on other people's vehicles is what they were doing. They were probably giving them a used part and charging them for a new part, you know? That's probably what they were doing. So where does this little, I mean, see, you got a little deal here, but I don't see any place for it to be. And that obviously plugs in there. Okay, so where does this go? So that's a female. Does that go there? I would say so, huh? Here we go, we got this one, and that one obviously goes there. And I think that 1-3 wire that I'm looking at over there, is that one? I bet it is. Where did it? That pretty much, one thing that I'm missing here, I gotta figure out how these are supposed to be situated in here and how they're, I don't really want them in a big old knot here like this. I mean, it's got these, but where in the hell are they going? God, these guys made a mess out of this project. So that one there, you can see all the dust inside of it. It was never plugged into anything, but this one was. So where in the hell is the end for that one at? I don't see. See, and we got another one over here. I think there must be something. That goes up against that inner fender. So I'm not certain what we got going on with. What do we got here? This is all going back to the front clip. So I got this one here that I don't have anything for, but it might be on something on that. Is it on some? I don't know. I guess I can get that off. I was just trying to get as much put together here. I'm gonna have to take some of this stuff back apart when I to put the return lines back on it on this side. But I just want to get it running. If I get a little fuel spill, and I just want to get it started. It'd be a good feeling just to get it started. I ordered the return lines and they're not here, so I'm just waiting on them in the retainers. Okay. Isn't there like a... I see how this goes down. I got all these plugged back into the bottom, and I got to tighten these up. Well, guys, I pretty well got this one done, with the exception of this. So I went to Napa and I got the mass airflow sensor. That was damn near $250 for that. I had to find some screws that were short enough to get it mounted in there. But this hose here that goes from the turbo to the air cleaner housing is gone. The air cleaner's missing too. I got to go get one of those. I got to get some more clips for the inner fenders here. I got enough to hold them in. I'm just going to pull it outside and get it out of the way for now. But there's something missing over here to this fuse panel. It seems like there's something supposed to be back here. I'm not certain. I got another one down at the shop. I'd have to look at it. But for the most part, oh, I didn't even tell you. So I had it running here, and I kept getting ABS control module, no communication faults, and they had this ground. So if you get so they had the cab off this. So you know, the customer called them and told them to put the cab back on. They couldn't even do that right. So they just threw it on there and did half-assed work and didn't put all the shit back together. So I need to go over this and make sure all the cab mounts are tight. They probably half-assed those too. Either that or the damn cab's gonna fall off on the guy, but this grounds right here were off. So you want to make sure those grounds are off, because the ABS control module is right above the, well, it's right over there somewhere, but it's right around in this area somewhere, tucked up in the frame rail. But anyway, she's a runner. I got to get a couple more bell housing bolts too, and then I think it'll be fine. Sounds good. I'll let you listen to it. Oh, and I got to get some return lines. No codes, no check engine light, nothing. Water and fuel lights on because they ripped the wires out of the bottom of the filter. Yeah. It sounds really good. He said that I talked to him and he said it was ticking even at, you know, low RPM, sitting there idling. You could hear it tick in the mornings. And that said, yeah, that's usually a manifold leak. So I guess we'll pull her out of here for now. Yeah, so that hose right there, return line, the return line, the little plastic ones, the nipples were broke on it. So there's hardly anything leaking out of them right now. They don't, if your injectors and everything are good on these, you won't hardly have much fuel leaking out of them returns. So anyhow, yeah, and clips for the inner fenders and go drive it, you know. Oh, air cleaner, we need to put an air cleaner in it. So anyway, I'm almost done with this thing. So yeah, it was quite a challenge. I mean, I don't know, I probably spent a good solid 3 days on it, you know. It's just, it probably would have took me a good 2 days to do it. I probably spent, in that combined 3 days of time, I probably spent one of those days, if you accumulated all the running around, getting parts, you know, that there was stuff was missing, looking for bolts, shit like that. So should have been a lot quicker, but hey man, I didn't do that. They did that. So anyways, thanks for watching.